What is up, guys? Welcome back to YouTube Ehrlich, and today we're doing another ranking for ranking month March. And yeah, this is a big one. I originally had this on my original YouTube Ehrlich channel, and I went to one of their concerts, which if you go to my playlists, you can see it on the Ehrlich re-upload that it's titled for my old channel. And yeah, I went to one of their concerts. It's my favorite band of all time. Tears for Fears, we're doing them today. I listened to a couple of their albums today, but I already know pretty much what my list is. I don't own all of their CDs, but I do have some of them. I absolutely love Tears for Fears. I love their music, and Roland Orzabal, their singer and guitarist, it's either him or Paul McCartney. One of those two is my favorite musician of all time. Kurt Smith is amazing too. Oleta Adams, and yeah, I've been to two of their concerts, and I did make a video, as I said. If you go to that playlist, you can check it out. Yeah, I went to one of their concerts, and it was awesome. And I did do a ranking then, but I don't have that video anymore, which is why it's not in that playlist. Yeah, I love Tears for Fears. They have 7 albums. Let's get into them after the intro.
Handle.
Okay, guys, so out of their 7 albums, I have 4 of them, plus their greatest hits album, which on the Christmas, I believe, of 2018, I actually asked for a Thompson Twins album, ended up getting a U2 Duran Duran album, and Tears for Fears, which I already knew the songs Everybody Wants to Rule the World and Head Over Heels and really liked those. But then I discovered they, one, were an amazing synth pop band, but after the first albums, went to, honestly, a progressive rock band, and then an awesome alternative rock 90s band, and they're just so great. But let's get to my number 7 album, which is a good album. It's not my favorite, and that is Round the Kings of Spain, released in 1995. Hey, again, this is one of their alternative rock albums, and it's pretty good. The title track, Round the Kings of Spain, one of my favorite Tears for Fears songs. The lyrics are amazing. The chorus gives me chills. And Roland Orzabal, he's one of my favorite voices ever. He actually is a pretty sick guitar player, too. Really underrated lyricist. Again, I love him so much. And, you know, the other single on here, God's Mistake, is pretty good, too. And there are a few good songs. The, Respire of, Los Criatos, that, Spanish word, I believe it's the closer to the album, has an interesting vibe. And the whole album is very interesting, but also feels very out of place for a Tears for Fears album. But it's still decent. But coming in at my number 6, I have Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. So after the Seeds of Love album, Roland really took a massive, lead in the creative department, and Kurt Smith ended up leaving the band, and he came back for Everybody Loves a Happy Ending in 2003, I believe, and everybody thought that the band was going to be done. But guess what? They came out with another album very long time, I believe 17 years after. But Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. It has Last Days on Earth, which is maybe my favorite closer on an album that the band ever did. And Call Me Mellow, pretty cool song too. And it's kind of the Beatlesque album, kind of going back to the Seeds of Love era. Obviously not as massive sounding or progressive, but still very, very cool. And it's a great album, and it's not as out of place as Round the Kings of Spain, but I think this era for the band wasn't my favorite, but it's nice to get Kurt back in the band, because it was basically a Roland solo effort in the 90s, but it was still great stuff that they were able to do. But these top 5 albums, man, also my favorite albums of all time. And I can't believe I'm putting this at number 5, but my 5th favorite Tears for Fears album, the reason I'm saying favorite, because 5 and up are just all probably in my top 40 favorite albums ever. And my number 5 is The Hurting, the band's debut. I got this song for my birthday in 2019. I was on a Tears for Fears streak. Tears for Fears, I really like Everybody Wants to Rule the World and Head Over Heels, but ever since I got this compilation in 2018, Christmas of 2018, they were my favorite band. I literally had them on repeat. And then late 2019, started getting into heavier stuff, and I honestly just forgot about them. And then ever since I went to their concert again in 2021, I think, or 22, I forget. But I just wasn't listening to Tears for Fears between late 2019 and before I went to my first concert. And now they're my favorite band of all time again. But I don't listen to them, it's not only Tears for Fears anymore. Lots more variety in my music taste. But geez, I don't know why I wasn't listening to them. Okay, let's actually talk about this album. Very good album. This is their only, I'd say, pure synth pop album. And it does have a few bonus tracks. It has The Way You Are single, which is actually really cool. But the songs are The Hurting, Mad World, Pale Shelter, Ideas as Opiates, Memories Fade, Suffer the Children, Watch Me Bleed, Change, The Prisoner, and Started the Breakdown. So yeah, as I said, this album I believe went platinum in the UK, and I understand it. And it smells very good too. So The Hurting, I mean, the opening song, pure 80s pop, and I really like it. But man, the singles off here, Mad World, Pale Shelter, and Change are just so darn good. And you know, Gary Jules covered Mad World, and if you think that's the better song, I understand it has a very good vibe. But come on, Tears for Fears is such a good band. Everybody looks over them, other than Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Shout, and The Seeds of Love, because everyone knows Everyone Wants to Rule the World from TikTok, and the other two songs are very popular nowadays too. But come on, you gotta listen to all the albums. They're actually so good. Rather like synth pop stuff, progressive stuff, alternative stuff, and modern pop stuff. They have it all. And this album, Ideas Opiates, interesting song, kind of cool. Memories Fade, Suffer the Children, Watch Me Bleed are very cool songs as well. And I really like Started the Breakdown, kind of leading into what they did on Songs from the Big Chair. But the songs, The Prisoner, and The Prisoner honestly just sucks. That's just a bad 3.5 minutes. I do not like The Prisoner. And I know it's at number 5, but as I said, they're my favorite band ever, and I absolutely love all the albums from here and up. And all the other tracks are great as well. I just think they have better albums. So coming in at my number 4 spot, I have their newest album, I believe from 2021 or 22. I'm not sure. The Tipping Point. Yes, look how old they got, but they're still awesome. I mean, they're great at concerts. They really are. You should go to one of their concerts. If you can afford it, of course. They're pretty cheap for, like, not really cheap, but pretty good for how good of a band they are. So this is their newest album. And the songs are No Small Thing, The Tipping Point, Long, Long, Long Time, Break the Man, My Demons, Rivers of Mercy, Please Be Happy, Master Plan, End of Night, and Stay. So, very cool album cover. I actually really like this. So, out of the 10 songs on this album, 6 of them, the first 6 songs, are all singles. Which I probably am going to do a video on this after ranking month. Of albums that start out really good and lose steam. And honestly, this might be one of them. Because No Small Thing, when I first heard it at concert, the only song that I knew going into this, from this album, going into the concert, is Break the Man, which Kurt sings on, and it is honestly one of my favorite Tears for Fears songs. This album does already carry nostalgia for me, considering it's the only Tears for Fears album I've lived through, and I actually wasn't really paying attention to them, but I heard that on, and I was like, man, then we go to the concert, I'm just back into them again, let's go. And I've been into them for 2 years more, so yeah, I just love them. But No Small Thing, kind of a country song, really interesting. The Tipping Point, really good title track, Long, Long, Long Time, pretty song. But as I said, Break the Man, I absolutely love that song. I like the lyrics, and it sounds great. The production on here, amazing. My Demons, very cool song, very kind of like, it's not heavy, but it's like instrumentally heavy and very fast-paced. And Rivers of Mercy, the other single on here. So yeah, there's 6 singles. Beautiful song. I love that song. And then here, even though the production on here is very good, here is where it kind of goes wrong. Please Be Happy, despite how great lyricists Roland and Kurt are, has always kind of made me cringe. Like, it's about someone being depressed and you wanting them to be happy. You can't just, like, say to someone, be happy, and they're depressed, and they're like, okay. Like, yeah, it just fell out of my hands, oh shoot. Okay, it's still good. We haven't had that before, have we? This album was like, everyone was buying it. Like, it took me like 5 weeks to get after I ordered it. Master Plan, I honestly don't even remember that song. And End of Night, it does have a cool synth, because it's the end of night. It's a pretty good song, but Stay is a beautiful song, which, after Please Be Happy and Master Plan, honestly just being kind of bad. Not like a bad song like The Prisoner, but just being kind of forgettable. End of Night kind of brings it back, and Stay is an elite song, but this time has some nostalgia on it. Also, some of my favorite songs by the band, like No Small Thing, of course, Break the Man. And the first 6 songs on Stay is able to make this just a bit better than The Hurting, in my opinion. I'd say The Hurting is a better album, but I like this album more. So, my third favorite Tears for Fears album is Elemental, which is their first album without Kurt Smith. And let's just say after the band begins as a synth pop act, to an amazing synth pop act, to a progressive rock band, and like an art rock and progressive pop with Oleta Adams, like I'm just art, I don't know, just an amazing vibe. They go to kind of an alternative 90s rock band, and there are some great songs on Elemental. It's probably in my top 30 favorite albums ever. I don't have the CD because it's been sold out on Amazon. I can't find it anywhere. And so the song, of course, Break It Down Again. I love that song so much. Cold and the title track are good songs. Brian Wilson Said is an interesting one. Gas Giants, I've always liked the vibe of that. Mr. Pessimist. Again, this is kind of a very cerebral album, but Break It Down Again, Mr. Pessimist are my favorites. And the last song on your Good Night song, I absolutely love that song as well. Again, the album just sounds great to me. And despite how much I love this album, these top two albums are just both in my top 10 favorite albums of all time. And one of them is number 9, and the other one is number 1. If you guys have seen my top 10 favorite albums, this kind of might be a spoiler, but yeah, Elemental is great, but The Seeds of Love is better. Man, like you go from one of the best synth pop bands to this, which you can see by the album cover already. It's such an artsy album, and not in a Yoko Ono way, not in that way, in an amazing way. And this is when Kurt Smith started to get pissed because he wasn't doing anything. Not really. He was still writing songs, and he still sang in a few songs, I believe 1 or 2. It smells so good. The songs on this album are Woman in Chains, Bad Man Song, Sowing the Seeds of Love, Advice for the Young at Heart, Standing on the Corner, The Third World, Swords and Knives, Year of the Knife, Famous Last Words. Very long song titles. But as I was saying there at the end of my Elemental review, this is my non-favorite album of all time. And they are the only band to have 2 albums in my top 20 favorites of all time. Because they try to keep some variety, especially in that list. But I just had to put this on here because almost the production is amazing. Same with the lyricism and the vocals. Roland was always a great vocalist, but here he just goes off. Woman in Chains, beautiful song. I absolutely love that song. I just I was listening to this album earlier today, and I was just reciting the whole thing. The drums, the production, and Oleta Adams slays. She's one of my favorite vocalists of all time. Man, it's just so great, so free. And the lyrics, the sun and the moon is repeated on this album, and that's so cool. The sun and the moon. Bad Man Song, one of my favorite songs ever. It's probably my top 20 favorite songs of all time. Sowing the Seeds of Love, honestly, not one of my favorite songs on the album, but it's still a great song. One of the more poppy songs in here. And Advice for the Young at Heart, the only song Kurt sings on here, is great. I absolutely love that song. It used to be my favorite song ever, but then I grew away from Tears for Fears, then came back to them being my favorite band of all time. And it's a great song. And Oleta Adams sings on the first 2 songs. I don't know if she sings on anything else. But it really is a prog album, last 4 tracks. Standing on the Corner of the Third World. Oh my gosh, it's like a tribal song of the third world. Oh, it's so good. It gives me goosebumps. Almost every song on here does. Swords and Knives and Year of the Knife lead into each other, and they're both about knives, but they sound like they're about heaven. I love the backing vocalists on here, and as I said, Roland, amazing vocalist. He and Paul McCartney, my favorite musicians of all time. And Famous Last Words, it sounds amazing just like this whole album does, but it's okay. The other 7 songs are amazing, though, and this is my non-favorite album of all time. But my favorite Tears for Fears album, which is my favorite album from my favorite band, so it's my favorite album of all time, is Songs from the Big Chair. It's so good. I have the vinyl. Look how big it is with my small hands. Oh my gosh, this album is amazing. It really is. It's my favorite album of all time. The songs are Shout, The Working Hour, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Mother's Talk, I Believe Broken, Head Over Heels, and Listen. So, it is my 3rd favorite song of all time, Head Over Heels. Shout and The Working Hour and Mother's Talk are all in my top 20 favorite songs of all time, I believe. And yeah, it's my favorite album ever. I Believe in Broken are probably 9 out of 10 for me. All the other songs are perfect, but this album sounds amazing. I'd say this album sounds better, but they both have elite production. They really do. Look at them. Look at these guys. They are so good. It's a nostalgic album, too. Though I wouldn't say nostalgia makes it higher. because even if it didn't have any nostalgia, it's still the first day I got this, I was amazed. Listen, really weird vocals, not by them, but like an opera singer or something. Really interesting way to end off the album, and of course, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Any other songs I didn't mention? No. Again, Head Over Heels used to be my favorite song, and now it's my third favorite, which is still amazing. And with how great all the songs are, how they blend together very well. Shout, of course, Working Hour, maybe their best deep cut. It's an amazing album, and I truly say that they're my favorite band, and this is my favorite album ever. I mean, I just prize this CD so much. Same with all of them, but like, man, because I just love them so much. I don't know what else to say about it. This album just kind of leaves me speechless. It's just so good. Thanks for watching this video. Now look at this person. And again, thank you for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe, even though Berlik is bad. Anyways, bye.